swear I know how to do this? Okay. So, you have a sound that's described between like femme and punk and noise. What do you think of the best ways to describe it as?
I think noise pop is a good way. I love noise music, but I feel like it's not accessible enough. And I love pop music, but I feel like it's too accessible to a point where sometimes it feels like you're talking down to people. And so I feel like when you integrate noise and pop music together, that you're creating something that is true. It's like the balance between chaos and order. And those things are both real, and those things are both necessary.
Because it's good because it kind of like, it can have that like mass appeal of pop, but at the same time not be, you know, overly like where it's just, you know, radio like Taylor Swift, whatever. It's just, you know, more grounded than that too, so.
Yeah.
I think having both of those elements is good. Like.
Yeah. It's like, you know, like Newtonian physics and quantum mechanics. They're both true. Like gravity is real, but so is actual chaos on the small scale.
Yeah, he's behind you. Are you chaos on a small scale? There you are.
I don't know.
At least he admits it.
You always play the band? Yeah.
He plays the cello, so eventually
yeah.
he's going to do it. It's going to be something like, and I take him to all these weird shows, so eventually he's going to get some kind of thing in his head where he's going to be like, I'm going to make this kind of music.
Yeah. Yeah.
You say no, but he loves music when he plays and stuff. You can tell.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on like physical media and cassettes, like records, things like that for music?
I think that I have like a big, I believe in deep ecology, and so I believe that records are sustainable because we keep them. You know, there's records that are handed down through generations, so to me they're sustainable, and cassettes are like that too. And I like the way that cassettes break down. Like records can maintain, you know, highest fidelity for a very long time, but cassettes kind of break down, but kind of in a beautiful way. And same thing with like the noise aesthetic, like that's how people break down, how our bodies break down. So to me, cassettes are very like organic in that way, but like CDs, never, ever again. No.
The plastic is just there forever.
I
and then
know.
You think about like all the stuff like when BMG and Columbia House had like all those CDs where they're just like using those coasters and trying to give them away and they couldn't, and it's just like, you know, it's just they're all just there somewhere still, and it's just, you know, 8 million copies of like the same Kid Rock album and stuff like that from that time too, where it's just like nobody wants this anymore. But
even my merch, all of our merch is recycled, and then we make it into YAWNi merch one way or another. And it's that same thing of like, I don't want to buy into sweatshops. I don't want to buy into, you know, making new textile like fashion is a huge source of pollution. So, you know, that's, But I love digital, and I like free, because when I was a kid, I had to have a job, and I was like working at 9 with a paper route, going to the record store to buy CDs, child labor. You know, it's like and that was before the internet too. And then I was like one of the first. Me and my brother were one of the first people on this thing called SoulSeek, which is basically Napster. And if they had caught us, we would be still in prison. Like, we downloaded so much music weekly, but music should be free, and it should be accessible to people. It should be accessible to everyone for free. To listen, just to listen.
Yeah.
You know?
I believe it's like the type of thing where, you know, if you go to like a Spotify, for example, and you have like an album up there and you listen to it and you really like it, you will like go out of your way to kind of either go somewhere and buy like a download or buy like a record or something like that.
Yeah.
Just, you know, just because you're like, I like this and I feel bad for how much and I do that personally too, where I'm like, I feel bad for how many times I've listened to this, and, you know, the artist has probably made like 30 cents by this point.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm like, here's like $20 and they get a record or whatever. Just, you know, because you want, ultimately the goal should be to help the artist to continue to make music, so,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. I mean, I like the pay what you can or pay what you want model, and that has been really helpful for me, because it's, you know, some people really just don't have it. And, like, I've had, you know, been to a show where, like, a 14-year-old girl is like, I want some merch, but I don't have any money because I'm 14. Do you want to take this bracelet? And I'm like, yeah, I want to take the bracelet.
That's better than money in some ways, you know. It's
yeah.
Like, then you have like a story and a memory and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
It's bartering. We need to bring back bartering, you know.
Yeah.
Just be like, I don't have money, but this is what I offer. I will give you this. And it's like, okay.
yeah. Well. Good to see you. We're doing an interview right now.
Now you're part of it.
You're in it. In your will.
You're interviewed now.
What's your social security number?
He's gonna get doxxed now. Now they're gonna be like, what are you doing over there?
One.
I don't know, he's been playing video games for like 3 days straight when he's not in school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We had him at music last night and the night before, so it's fun.
Okay.
We're all tired.
Yeah.
The idea of physical music and just like cassettes in general too, you have a song that's called Be Kind, Rewind, which is what it says on VHS tapes like back in the day. Which and that's like, it's a movie because I watched that like a month ago again for like the first time in a long time.
It is a great movie with two really good musicians.
Jack Black and
Mos Def. Yeah. He has a different name now, but
like,
at the time he was Mos Def.
I was trying to think, I was like, he's Mos Def then, but he's not Mos Def now. He's somebody else now, but I don't remember his name now.
Yeah.
But it's weird because like when you think about, and when I listen to the song, I don't think about it in the sense as much as like the, you know, stickers from the VHS tapes as much as it's like kind of like thinking of like the past and like, you know, just being like kinder to people and stuff like that. Like not just like, you know, the video stores like, which are not existing anymore, like Blockbuster, like they want you to rewind the tapes for them so they don't have to do it. They're like, just do us a solid, come on. Like, but just think of it in the sense now of like, you know, just being nicer to people and like how, I don't know, like back in like before the year 2000 or something like that, and before all of like social media and the way things are now, it just felt like people were nicer to each other, where it was just kind of like, you know, it felt too like there was more like interaction with people like face to face and not just like cyberbullying and, you know, stuff like that. So I feel like that's like, you know, that has like that meaning where it's like, yeah, you can take it to that context, but then you can take it to like a way to just like be nicer to people in general, like, you know, just, I mean, you don't want people to be like rude to you, so just don't, you know, be rude to other people.
Right.
So it's weird that song, I don't know, I guess that's not really a question, but that song just like makes me think about that, where it's not just, you know, the straight up like VHS suggestion, but rather, you know, a whole thing of just like being nice to people and how we need like more kindness now than, you know.
Yeah. It's actually about the idea of like what depression is rumination. And rumination is basically you playing back a negative feedback tape in your mind again and again and again. And so the idea of like the Maya Angelou quote is like people won't really remember what you say to them, and they might not even remember what you do, but they will remember how you made them feel. And so that idea of like if we can have a positive feedback loop of like that one person was really kind to me, you know, and those small moments really usually matter more than the big moments. So the idea is kind of like, you know, just like having that rumination, you know what I mean? And then, but I like your take better. I like your take better.
That's just what I get when I listen to music, but that's too much listening to music for me, I think.
I don't know. Sounds right. Sounds about right to me.
I like to listen to music and then like interpret it certain ways, and then people are just like, no.
Well, I always say, like, when people are like, what's that song about, and da-da-da, and I don't like it when people, I really don't like it when people tell me what the song is about, like, during a performance, because that, I feel like we have, so I'm a nurse, and we say that is outside my scope of practice when you're bordering on what a doctor can do versus what a nurse can do. So when I think about the meanings of songs, yes, they hold meanings for me, and that helps me to perform them with soul, because they have an actual real root in my soul, but it's not my scope of practice to tell someone else what that means to them. And what I would like to do, like, I had a show a couple nights ago, and this girl comes in crying, and I was like, you're the one. Like, in my mind, I'm like, you're the one, you're the reason why I'm here. And then she was on her phone the whole time, and this other guy commented, he's like, that was so rude that she's on her phone the whole time. And I was like, no. My job is to create a space for people to do their thing. And it's not about them, like, listening and paying attention. It's about them existing in the space with us together. And it's outside my scope of practice to tell someone how to do that.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, that's the thing. And for me, that's what I want to do as a listener. I just want to be there and be like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the beauty for me, you know?
It's like people listen to music different ways, so it's like you shouldn't really, like, you know, judge how other people are going to do that. It's like if you want to, you know, sit on the floor and curl up in a ball or something like that, then do it. If you want to get up and run around, like move around and stuff, it's like, you know, it's what people feel comfortable with, I guess. And so that's so good, you know.
We had a show with my drummer. We get pretty ecstatic when we're together, like explosive, and it can get kind of extreme, and sometimes one or both of us will be screaming. And this one show we played, this guy stood in the audience with his fingers in his ears like this. Like, not like this, like, oh, I forgot my earplugs, but like this. And it's like there were a lot of people, and he was like elbowing other people. And so he's standing like this. So it's like, it made like a scene, but it was like you're saying, it's like, it's not it's okay, that's his way. Because in my mind, I'm like, maybe he's triggered by us screaming or like what we're saying, because some of it can get pretty dark. And it's like, maybe he's triggered. So, but in my mind, I was like, I wonder why he didn't just leave, you know, or what have you. But that's his space to do, you know, and he's welcome to do that, you know. Who am I to say?
I mean, he's there, he's experiencing it, so, you know, good or bad, he's, like, taking it in, so that's good, you know, like, he's
processing.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, he could be, like, sensitive to the sound or something and trying to build up, like, getting to a point where he can experience without having to have fingers in his ears or something like that. So, you know, you never know what people are doing, so maybe he had a headache. So it's all sorts of things, I don't know. It's always like when you're playing a show and then you look out in the audience and you see someone yawning and it's like, I'm tired, but it's not because of the music. It's not like your music is boring. I'm just, you know, I don't sleep as much as I should. You know?
And that, you know, for me, I'm a huge advocate for short form content, and people are like, and I'm like, I was one of these people for a very long time. 3 jobs, going to school full time, practically homeless, never having the light. Sometimes the lights were on, sometimes the heat was on, not having enough money for food, stress. And it's like, you think if you're on survival mode, that you have like, I'm gonna spend 90 minutes listening to an intricately created album, and it's like, that's beautiful if you do have that. And I pray to God that like AI makes it that we all can like quit menial work and like just listen to albums for the rest of our life. But that isn't, I don't think, happening right now. But what is happening right now is people are pressed. And when they have a 15-minute break on work, they want to go to their phone and they want, 15 seconds, 25 seconds, 60 seconds of dopamine hit. And, I would like to contribute to something that's a little bit more meaningful than like trying to sell somebody McDonald's. You know what I mean? And it's like, if I could give you 30 seconds of art that is, intentional and thoughtful, that is my job. And this is the world we live in today. And so that's why I really like short form gossip, because it's like, yeah, people are exhausted. People are exhausted.
And like, I go to like YouTube and I'll see videos and it's like 18 minutes long, and I'll be like, I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah,
you know, like that sort of thing. But then you find like really short, like things like 5 minutes and under, and you're just like, I can do that. And sometimes you don't even realize that too, because you'll watch like an hour worth of videos, but they're just, you know, little 5-minute videos, because it doesn't feel as long. But it's like, if you look at it as like being like an hour-long video, you're like, I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like the time kind of deceives you, but it works for you in that way too. So
yeah,
you can take in a lot of content at once instead of feeling like you're just in one really long video about something where you're just like, get to the point. What are you doing?
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah.
It's a lot of the youth too. It's like that. Like he's usually on like 5 devices at once and stuff. Just, you know, taking as much as he can from different sources, and just, you know, you watch like a little bit of a video and you're just like, nope, there's like next, and you know, that sort of thing. So
yeah.
But I mean, there's so much out there. It's like so, you know, overwhelming to try and process it all sometimes too. So that's why it's kind of like having these little samples of it instead of, you know, sitting down. Like if you had to sit down and listen to like a 90-minute album, like you'd only listen to like so many per day, as opposed to, you know, if you're listening to like little sound clips of each of them and then going, oh, I really like this one, let me further expand into this like later, you know.
Yep.
So,
yep. Yeah.
It's as someone who writes about music, it's overwhelming when you're just, you know, people are like, check out my song, and I'm like, nope, not for me. You know.
Right.
Like within the first 30 seconds, I can tell I'm just like, no, it's not gonna be good. Sometimes I get like thumbnails and just like, this is not gonna be my scene, but
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So. I mean, things can grow on, like for me, like things can grow on me, but I have a weird, I don't know how you listen to music. One thing that I do, I don't know if it's because I'm a songwriter or whatever, I like to listen to the same song on repeat for like days. And I'm like not listening to other songs. Like there's this new song, and it's kind of like you said, like there's a thumbnail of Tyler Childers, In Your Love, and somebody sent it to me, and it looks like the cover of a romance novel. I was like, what's that? I was like, what is he doing? And then I listened to it, and I couldn't stop listening to it. I listened to it for actually 2 hours straight. It was amazing.
I think that's like the whole, like, you know, the way like we started with like record labels, like pushing singles on the radio and stuff like that. So like you kind of have that one song, and like I know there's like a new album out that I have been listening to for like 3 months, and I finally bought it as like a record the other day.
What is it?
It's this, the woman who does it is Swedish, but she's from Germany now. It's called Maggot Heart, and it's not like metal at all. It's like very like, it's just like very beautiful and surreal soundscapes and stuff. And she has a song on there called Archer, and so it was like when I listened to that album, I kind of like took to that song first for some reason. So I just like listened to that song a lot, and then, you know, so you kind of use that as like a reference point for like when you're listening to the album, then like in full, because then you're just, you know, there's this song, okay, now here's the song that I know, and then like there's this song and this song. So it's kind of like to have that familiarity when you go into it. You know, it's like I may not know this song yet as much as I would like, but I know like Archer song's coming in, that's what I really want to hear. So
is that the title track?
No, the title's called Hunger.
Oh.
So.
Great name. Maggot Heart?
Yeah. We talked about that, how, you know, it sounds like you're going to be listening to like grindcore or something like really like metal. And she was in a metal band called The Oath before that, so she's done metal, but it's not really metal. And they played with another band called Meso that was really more like metal than they were, but they're rock and roll, I guess. So
yeah.
It's loud, and I mean that's one of the slower songs. They didn't do it live, but it's, you know, it's one of my favorite albums from this year, I think. So
yeah.
I was happy about hearing that. So
yeah, yeah. And I'm into, you know, deeply into meditation, Zen. Like I turn off a lot, airplane mode for real, like deep airplane mode. Like I don't even get cell phone service where I live. There's like no light. There's no like noise except like nature sounds. And so then when I do listen to that song on loop, it is like that mantra thing of like do like again, and then it's almost as if you tune out because your brain stops recognizing that thing because it's so familiar. It's like cognitive dissonance where just like that part sheds away. So I think that's helpful to me.
Yeah, because like the whole thing with sound is like your brain's telling you like what to hear, but then it's eventually like your brain doesn't have to like tell you. It's not like, okay, this is what this sounds like. It's like you just know, like you're on autopilot like that.
Yeah.
That's when music gets really good, when you're just like kind of like spacing out on it, and you're just It's not like, this is what you're hearing. It's like, you should not be standing this close to the speakers. What are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
You just find yourself like you start here, and then you're like, and then you're like,
like, this is too loud. What are you doing?
And then you like lay the speaker on the ground, and you're like, take a nap next to it.
So, what is it like being from North Carolina?
Well, I actually grew up in Rhode Island, but I've been living in Asheville for 10 years. And I actually live on the outside Asheville in an unincorporated, very rural area on the side of a mountain now. That happened like when the pandemic started. And Asheville's very interesting because it's changed so much in the past 10 years, and nobody has roots there. Like, nobody's from there. And most of the people that are there have not lived there for more than 5 years. So it creates an interesting metropolitan feel, but there's a lot of, like, it's hard to, like, get a grasp on things. But for me personally, I kind of really integrated myself in the community besides just music, but also in music from the rip. So I feel pretty good about it. And it is a small city. Like, there's, I think it's about 100,000 within the city limits. So that's okay, because then you kind of do know people. But it's interesting. Ecologically, it's perfection. I mean, it is ecologically perfect. Yeah.
But it's kind of like off like the big city thing, so it's like you kind of can like disassociate from other things, so it's not, you know, like everything's not there like all at once, so it doesn't feel as like rushed, I guess, like it's overwhelming and stuff in ways too.
Yeah,
so.
And it's surrounded by wilderness. There's nothing near it. So it's not like Boston where it's like you have to go 18 more suburbs before you get to some woods. It's like Asheville, woods, for like 2 to 3 hours in every direction, because the mountains protect it. You like cannot build on those mountains. So that's really cool. And for me, I like, you know, like I was saying, like I'm done on 10. Like I really like my sensory deprivation, and cities kind of like skew me. I feel like an electric, like skew my electric magnetic field to my body or something. So I enjoy the woods. Even on tour, I go and I look at the map and I stop in woods between every city and hike and just airplane mode.
Yeah, out here it's like really nice. There's a lot of like, just like, this is maybe like almost an hour drive for us, but it's nice because it's just like the whole trip here is just like
gorgeous. Yeah.
Just, like, it's worth the drive, you know, like if you're doing an hour down like a major highway, you're kind of like, I don't like this.
Look, another Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. And then there's like trucks and traffic and so having that, you know, there's like a way that we get here that we go by like this giant rock on the side of the road that's painted like an eagle. So it's just like,
I think I've seen that. I think it's beautiful.
And then we're driving and like there's the Eagle Rock, and you know, so you know, it's a good.
Yeah, me and my dog, we were going from Pennsylvania to Buffalo, New York, and we stopped in this random spot in Erie, off of Lake Erie, and we saw a bald eagle in real life, and I think it was actually being predatory towards us, because I think it was like because it came so close. I mean, like, it was low, it was not even 10 feet above the ground, and it was probably less than 20 feet away. And I found out later that baldy, because it's huge, it's like as big as I am.
Yeah.
And I found out that they actually do prey on things as large as coyotes. So I was like, I think that it may have been preying on, like, thinking about my dog, which was terrifying. Yeah.
They're like, we're America, you can't touch us, so what are you going to do?
I know.
Like, we're protected, you can't touch us.
I just punched it in the face.
And then you, like, get deported or something. Like, you're out of the country, I'm sorry. We don't care where you go, you just can't be America anymore. You punch a bald eagle, there's no coming back from that. There's no presidential pardon.
This is free speech.
You are free. free, but you're not free from consequences.
Yeah.
Only the eagle is free from consequences. The bald eagles are free from consequences, though, because they can do whatever they want. You can't stop them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you can't touch them. Yeah, Dolly Parton, her home place is right, like a couple hours, 1.5 hours west of Asheville, and that is where the largest preserve for bald eagles is, and she is the largest private investor in their preservation.
Yeah.
She's just, she's an American hero, what can you say?
She's like one of the few people who's like, I have a lot of money and I'm going to use it for good.
Yeah.
You know? She's like, I have Dollywood and I have employees and I pay them all fairly. And it's like, what? Like, that's not how this is supposed to work.
Yeah.
So my last question for you is going to be, what do you feel as a musician and as an artist is the best way for someone who likes music to support musicians and artists, like in a sense of, you know, like where it's like, you know, streaming a song on Spotify gets you like 1/10 of a cent or something like that. Like what's the best way that you would say, like, you know, if people enjoy your music or music of any artist and want to like support them, like what would you say to do?
Yeah. To me, personally, it's about engagement, and so I love being a working musician. I love playing a show every day. I don't feel like I should get paid in perpetuity for a recording I made 10 years ago. I think, because my mom's a working class musician. She still is working full time, and she's almost 7 years old. She's supported 3 kids by herself, working like 80 hours a week as a musician. So, for me, I don't feel entitled to people's cash for listening to recordings or anything like that, but I like people to come out to shows. But I also understand that people have a lot of responsibility. They have lives, they have children, they have dependent elders or people who, require special assistance, or they're working crazy hours just to make a living, barely. So I understand that maybe coming out to shows too much also. I like when people engage online. I like when people give me feedback, and they're like, I like this, or I don't like this, or they're like, I feel like that was insensitive what you said, or they're like you, like, oh, please be kind. It's like we should be nicer to each other. It's like, yeah, we should be nicer. Good point. Thank you. That's what, I just like I like the feedback. I like the engagement, and I like when people tell me things about like their lives and stuff, because it inspires me to write. Like, I've had people tell me about their lives and different things that they're going on in their life, and then I write to that. So that's helpful for me as an artist. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's everything then.
Thank you.
Let me stop this.